too close. I need to put this on something. Any ideas? Like something this high? Or maybe I'll just lean it here.
Maybe use this on a book. Might help.
I'll just leave it like this. Hi guys. Today is Remembrance Day, Yom HaZikaron. And, you know, we could talk about it from a million different angles. We could talk about the soldiers. We could talk about war. We could talk about the nevuos that came to life since we came back to our homeland, right, after 2,000 years. We could talk about so many pieces to this day. We could really, connect to the sad parts, the families that lost their sons, their fathers, their brothers, right, in order for us to have this land, in order for us to live here. But I don't want to take that route, because I'll tell you what, I went to Auschwitz twice, and both times what I saw there were tons of different groups from all over the world, like just lots of different groups. Every group usually every group had their own tour guide and had their own person that was, taking them through Auschwitz and giving them the Auschwitz experience. And what was the most incredible piece from the whole thing for me was that the tour guides around us, not the ones that we were using. The tour guides, though, once I got to Auschwitz, I took off a little bit and kind of connected to other groups and just listened to their tour guide. The tour guides that spoke about the reason for the Holocaust, and the tour guides that spoke about, the details, the facts, the dates, what the Germans did, what the Germans said, all the actual facts on the ground of what happened and what and all the death and the misery that happened in the death camps, and then the different cabins. There were different, not cabins. What are they called? Bunkers. What are they?
Bunks. Yeah.
Yeah, and just like all of the details, it felt to me that it was so much deeper than 1948, 1942, this general killed this. It felt so much, there has to be more meaning than just giving me the facts. There has to be more meaning, and that's why I believe a big part of the reason why Anne Frank's story became such a story was because it was so personal to the person, her life in the attic, her family, the no food, all of the things that she was, because it was so, it touched us. It touched us because it was someone real that it happened to. And so when, we could talk about all the facts on the table when it comes to Yom HaZikaron and getting Eretz Yisrael and living in the land of Israel and our freedom and our independence and the blood that was shed here and all of that, we could talk about that. But I'm going to come to you right now with a different angle. It's going to be a different angle because for us, really what matters as religious Orthodox Jews is that we know that history is very, very important, and the facts are very, very important, and the leaders and their names and the dates are very, very, very crucial and important. And there's nothing we can say to take away from that. Every person whoever deserves the credit should get the credit. And whatever happened on Yom HaAtzmaut tomorrow, it is a day. It is a day of happiness. It is a day of happiness because it is the day that God chose to give us back the keys to this land after 2,000 years of not having a home and not having the keys to our home. So it is a very big day. But we're going to talk about it from a Torah's perspective. I want to talk about it from a Hasidic perspective. I want to talk about it from Rabbi Nachman's perspective. Okay? Because in essence, what are we looking at? When we look at all the death and we look at all the bloodshed and we look at all the stuff that went on, if you go outside right now, there's this lull in the air. There's this feeling of there's this quiet and there's this sadness in the air, right? And you heard the siren. I don't know about you, but that siren digs into my heart every single time I hear it. And it's supposed to make us remember. It's supposed to make us remember all the things that happened here in order for us to be able to come and live here and walk around and go to Froyo. It's supposed to make us remember for all the people, all the young people, all the people that gave up their lives in defense. But I want to go a step deeper, bless you. I want to go much deeper than the names and the dates and the facts. I want to go much, much deeper to the cause and the reason. Because you see, girls, everything is written in our Torah. And everything is explained in our Torah. Everything. And when it shows us, when we have the nevuos of 2,000 years of galus, we have the nevuos of v'shavu banim l'gvulam, we have the nevuos of how we're going to come back to this land, and how we're going to rebuild it, and how it's going to look, and how we're going to turn it around. For all the 2,000 years that Klal Yisrael were in galus, for all those years they were in Babylon, and they were in Yavan, and they were in all the places, and we were scattered all over the world, and still are scattered all over the world, right? Just scattered all over the world. For someone to have said to someone 1,000 years ago, this is what it was going to look like in the year 2020, 2021, this is what it's going to look like, they wouldn't ever believe it, because it literally is the nevuos coming to life, and exactly to the day of when the Navi said that it was going to happen. And the nevuos that say, and the ones that we say in Shemona Esrei every single day, we say every single day, "V'ne'eman ata lechayot meitim," you are loyal to bring back the dead. Because just like we are sitting today in Jerusalem, learning Torah, Jewish women, able to, Baruch Hashem, be observant of God's mitzvahs and really understand that that's what it's about. Everything else is a facade. Really, the work on this world is avodas hamidos, and that's what the Torah is talking about in all the pages of the Torah, avodas hamidos, and love, and connection, and peace, and all the attributes, and prayer, and meditation, and calmness, and presence, and all the attributes. That's what, in essence, what a person is here to do, to become all of those things, to take what's on their plate, to take all the stuff that they're handed, and all the stuff that they're dished, and all their traumas, and all their bad midas, and all the stuff that they were born into this world with, and what they're expected to do is to upgrade. And that's what the Torah is constantly telling us, to just upgrade and just upgrade and just upgrade. And we see, and the Torah is telling us, and we're going to bring in Rabbi Nachman right now, and we see how when we don't listen, I know it sounds like, you're not listening and that's what happens, but look at, the proof is in the pudding. When we are at war, when we do hate, then we have fallen soldiers and we have bloodshed. In essence, when we are in a place of not working on our midos, which is everything the Torah wants us to know and it wants us to be. I'm making it very, very, very black and white, because I'm trying to get to a point. And the point is that when the Jewish people on the Jewish land live in accordance to God's commandments and Hashem's Torah, everything starts to flourish and everything starts to connect. But when the Jewish people on the Jewish land don't listen to the Torah and go against the Torah, and they're Jews, right? They're not non-Jews. It's not like in America you have a gay parade, so it's like, okay, you have a gay parade. Okay, it's a bunch of goyim, so you have a gay parade. The Jews on the Jewish land, Eretz Yisrael has a pulse. Eretz Yisrael is alive. Eretz Yisrael is a figure. Eretz Yisrael is real. It's a personality. It's a character. It's real. It's an energy. That's why it says that a person that does certain things Eretz Yisrael spits them out. They spit them out. So the person says, no, I chose to move to America, or I chose to go there. You have to have a schus to be on this land. You have to have a schus to breathe this air. You have to have a schus to walk this land. You have to have a schus that every 4 amos you get a mitzvah just for walking. You know that the air here, the Gemara says, Avira de Eretz Israel machkima. The air that we breathe goes into our brain. It affects our brain differently than the air outside of Eretz Israel. There are people that you can pay them thousands, millions, and they won't leave this land because they understand. You get a different malach when you enter the borders of this land. You get a different one when you leave the borders of this land. This is not Israel. This is not Israel. This is Eretz Avoteinu. It says Eretz Israel, Am Israel, v'kucha brichu, and God, Eretz Israel, the land of Israel, and the people of Israel, and God, Chadhu. It's one. It's connected. You can't live here and do whatever the heck you want, because you will get spit out. And if you don't get spit out, then people will die, because that's the reality that we're living in. It's not a reality like you have in England, like you have in South Africa, like you have in Brooklyn. It's not the same reality. It's not the same energy. It's not the same malachim. It's not the same air. It's not the same ground. It's not the same land. It's not the same fruit. It's not the same nothing. It's a different reality here. And if you want to live here, and if you want to spend the days of your life living the Jewish dream, it's not the American dream. And it looks nothing like the American dream. It doesn't smell of it. It doesn't look it. Doesn't. It's a different reality. And the reality is one of a spiritual one. It's one of a higher one. In this land, in this place, with so much Kedusha and so much godly presence here, especially being the fact that we're in Yerushalayim, where Yerushalayim is Ish, it's fire, it's God's home, Shekhinah by the Kotel never moves, ever. What's going to happen here is that once we get to a place that we are so able and potential to connect to the spiritual, there's going to be at the same level almost a desire to disconnect, a desire to just stop, a desire to not pray, a desire to not keep Shabbos, a desire to detach. It has to be that way. When you're out somewhere in the boondocks in Texas, all of a sudden you see a Jew and you're like, oh my God, a Jew! Oh my God, Ben Chabad, kosher food! All of a sudden you're davening, saying brachos, because you feel like you're so out and like in nowhere's land and you're just like a Jew in a sea of non-Jews. You don't feel, you're looking for that connection, you're looking for that closeness, you're looking for that home feeling, you're looking for, oh, another Jew means he's connected to me, he's a brother, she's a sister, we're part of the same thing. That's why it means so much. Otherwise, why would it mean so much? An Italian sees an Italian, they're like, oh my God, an Italian! No. Maybe, I don't know. I don't think so. Because there's something else about the Jewish people. We have glue that's connecting us. And that's why when I hurt you, I hurt myself. When I hurt you, when I shoot you in the face, I shoot myself in the face. It's the same way that when I see somebody, when I see a Chabadnik or someone with a kippah on their head in somewhere in the world and I'm stuck there, I have that same want to connect and I feel that same familiarity and I feel that same closeness, and it's okay if I ask them for help, or it's okay that I ask them to use their phone or stay in their house or use their bathroom or help me for Shabbos or whatever it is, because I have that level of comfort. It's that same glue. It's that same glue that's there, that when I hurt, God forbid, another person, I shoot myself in the face. There's no two ways about it. That's the essence of who we are. Am echad. We are one people. We have that glue, that connection, no matter what, no matter where we are in the world, we are connected. And what makes us so connected? The fact that God is intertwined between all of us. We come from the same soul. We all have the same soul. Shoresh neshama. So what does that mean? That we can't align ourselves with the thoughts and the understandings of the non-Jews. It's a different game. There are different rules. It's a different reality there. And what I want to just say that's so important here to talk about today is that this concept of peace. Thousands of families are mourning right now in cemeteries. There's more traffic in cemeteries on this day than any other day. Cemeteries are packed today. Thousands and thousands of people are mourning the deaths of their loved ones. And now what does the Torah tell us? What does Hashem tell us? Torah tells us like this. En kli tov. En kli tov ana machzik b'cha. En kli tov ela SHALOM. Something like that. With Chazal that says that the only kli, the only vessel that is able to hold blessing, machzik bracha, ela SHALOM. It's only it's only peace. Peace is the reason for all goodness. Everything. Geula comes through peace. It will come through peace. Aaron, his midah was peace. He lied for peace. Because peace is an attribute. Peace is something that we have to work towards. Peace is something, it's a goal. We have to work towards peace with everybody in our lives. Machlokas makes fire. Machlokas brings death. People are not stam dying. Every soldier that fell, every person that was stabbed, every person that was blown up in a cafe or in a bus, every single one of the people that was killed because they lived on this land, because of the fact that they're Jewish, because of the fact that they're protecting their land, is not by some coincidence because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. It's meduyak, the Torah tells us. You won't have bloodshed if you have unity. So we mourn the bloodshed, and we mourn the catastrophe, and we mourn it, what's going on, and we mourn, and we're in cemeteries, and we're lighting candles, and we're saying over the stories, but in essence, we don't need to we should stop mourning. We need to start being proactive and stop waking up after the deal is done and saying, oh, this one died, and that one died, and this one fell, and that one fell. Hashem says it clearly in our Torah. Hashem says it so clearly and screaming from every page of the Torah. Unity equals life. When I say unity, what I mean by that is like this. I want to give you a Shomer Amunim. Shomer Amunim writes, and there's a Gemara that says, I think it's in Parshas Kitzei, it says that a person has to make a ma'akeh. How do you say a ma'akeh? A gate, good. What do you say? A banister, a thing? When he has a mirpeset. Okay, on his gag, it says. On his porch, on any place that's open, his responsibility is to make a ma'akeh. He has to have a ma'akeh there. Okay, it's a mitzvah for a person to do that. Okay? The Shomer Amunim writes there's something incredible. It says, Lasim ma'akeh al gagecha, right? On your roof, on something that's open. And Shomer Amunim says like this. Gagecha, the shorish there is gag. It's the same shorish of the word hagigim. Hagigim, in the Gemara in Aramaic, means machshavot. That's why it says Melchemet Gog uMagog is going to be a melchama of hagigim. That's what the Gemara says. It's going to be a war of thoughts. That's Melchemet Gog uMagog. No one's going to know what to think anymore. No one's going to know who to trust. No one's going to know who's saying the truth and who's lying. No one's going to know what to do. Yes or no. Right or left? Which way? No one's going to know. We're all going to be very, very confused because it's going to be a milchemet hagagim. It's going to get into our thoughts. The evil is going to get into the thoughts of the righteous, of the good, and it's going to make them confused. And only the people that are going to hold on to Torah, to emes, even when it seems like this is not the right choice right now. I should be choosing that. When Mordechai didn't want to bow, all the Rabbanim bowed. Everyone bowed. They paskin to bow. They said bow. All the Jewish people must bow. Mordechai was the only one who didn't. And you know what? They were all very upset with him. And that's why he didn't have even a place to speak. He tried to speak to them. He tried to tell them there was no one to listen to him. There was no ears. They were all deaf to him. They all said, you're a kofar. You should be bowing. You're putting the whole Klal Yisrael in sakana. You should be bowing, and he was the only one. He didn't move. Everyone's doing it, and you're not. And you know what? Because he was the only personality in that door that didn't move, that didn't bow, he was the called tzaddik b'doro. He was Mordechai tzaddik. Because sometimes doing the right thing, that tzedek, doesn't look good in people's eyes. At all. At all. So he says, hagagim, we're going back to the ma'akeh. He says, hagagim is machshavot. You have to put a ma'akeh around your machshavot. The Shomer Amunim says, you have to know, you have to understand that your machshavot, your thoughts, and this is everything we've been learning all year, your thoughts are in your control. No matter what you've gone through in your life, if you don't put up a barrier there, if you don't tell yourself what to think, if you don't control your thoughts and you just let them run wild and take you on whatever wild goose chase they want to take you on, that you're not good enough, that you don't have what it takes, that you don't know where you're going, that you have never done enough, that you're not smart enough or pretty enough or successful enough and you never will, and who's going to want all of those things. If you are going to let those machshavos run wild, you have to know, my friends, he says, Shomer Amunim, your only responsibility there is to put up a makeh. Put up a gate. You decide. The Gemara there, the Shomer Amunim there brings a story. Listen to this story. This is a true story that happened in the time of the Amoraim. There was a big tzaddik, a Rav, that lived in a city. He lived in a city, and he had a neighbor, and his neighbor was terrible. He was like a Russia. And this Rav, who was a very big Rav, he ends up sending a letter to a sage that lived nearby, sends him a letter about this neighbor of his, and what is he supposed to do? and he doesn't know what to do. And just a by the way, it just shows us that no matter how great you are, and no matter how spiritual you are, and firm you are, religious you are, or orthodox you are, you could be a tzaddik. When you're in something, you're not seeing something clearly. You always have to have outside eyes that are bigger and smarter than you, and that you trust to look at your story, to look at what you're in. So the Rav sends back a letter to him, and he says to him, leave it. Stay quiet. Don't do anything. Another 3 months goes by. He writes him another letter. He says, it's just getting worse and worse and worse with this neighbor. I need your help. What do I do? And the Rav writes back 2 words. Dom la Hashem. Which is in essence the same kind of idea, which is stay quiet. And this, girls, I'm teaching you something that is, if you use this in your life, you will thank me. And if you don't thank me, you should thank me, but I'm just saying. So, listen to this. Dom la Hashem means be quiet to God. Be quiet and bring it up to Hashem. And what it says there, what's so incredible, that Shomer Minim brings it to Hillel and he says, Hashem li be'ozrai ve'ani ere'eh besonai. Girls, listen to this. It's a little deep, but at the end of it, it's amazing. Hashem li be'ozrai ve'ani ere'eh besonai. Hashem helps me through my enemies. Hashem helps you through your enemies? This Rav was telling this sage was telling this Rav, Hashem is loving you through the enemies that He's sending you. And the Baal Sulam explains this. Listen to this. He explains like this. He says that in essence, whatever you meet on the outside is only a reflection of what is going on the inside of you. In other words, you have to know that the people in your life that are getting on your nerves, that you're upset at, that are poking and prodding, that are not nice, that make you feel not good, the people in your life, okay, the experiences that you have in your life, with those kinds of experiences, you have to understand one thing. Very, 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 very important. God doesn't send us these enemies, quote unquote, these sorrows, these pains. God doesn't send us these things unless there is something that we're not looking at inside of ourselves. When my friend is yelling at me, when she is being selfish, when she doesn't see what I'm doing for her, when she accuses me about not being giving enough or caring enough when she does so much for me, instead of fighting, instead of going on into a head-on battle, it's not true. I do. What do you mean? You're the one that does it. Look, I did this and this and this. You didn't even say thank you. You didn't even acknowledge it. You know how much I went out of my way to do this and this for you? Instead of going into a place of machlokus, which is so natural and so knee-jerk reaction, God tells us, Rabbi Nachman teaches us, he says, listen. He says, where there is machloket, there is death. Where there is machlokus, the relationship will die. The feeling of connection with this person will die. Bad things happen from machlokus. The Rav said to him at first, be quiet, let time do its thing. Don't speak back. She gets on your nerves, she's fighting with you, whatever it is. Let it just roll. Let it just roll. Let it roll. You don't have to stick up for yourself 24/7. You don't need to be your own, quarterback. You don't need to be your own security. She said something not nice. She's in a bad mood. She's PMSing. I don't know what's going on with her. Let it go. She gets on your nerves. She's rubbing against your ego. Work on your midot. Because machlokas that's going to come from that, it's going to feel good in the moment. It's going to feel so good in the moment to get in her face and tell her exactly where you think she's wrong. But you know what it will bring with it? It opens the door. The Gemara says that it opens the door to dinim. Dinim. Dinim are what? Negative energies. A person that has machlokas in their lives has negative energies in their lives, has dinim in their lives. And what happens when a person has dinim in their lives? Bad things can, God forbid, happen to them.
What do you mean by dinim?
Dinim are judgments. When you fight with someone, you create judgment on you. So even if you're a person that does a lot of good things, let's say, right? But if you hurt someone, or you stole someone, you didn't give back their money, or you gave your word and you stole their sleep, different things, okay? They linger over your head energetically, these dinim. And so the Rabbi Nachman tells us 2 things. Number 1, and with this we're going to end. Number 1, he says Stay away from machlokas like you would from fire, because in essence what you're doing is hurting yourself deeply. But once you are in a machlokas, or if you're in the situation, start thinking about the person that's hurting you, the person that's mean to you, the person that's not nice to you. Start thinking about them in good terms in your brain. You have to be done l'kaf chustam, because girls, we don't need any. Look at all the wars, though. Look at all the death. Look at all the bloodshed. Look at what happened in America. They wanted to say Black Lives Matter. Did anyone hear them? Or did they create more violence and fear? Did they instill more of that into the society that they're around? Nothing good comes from fighting ever. It's a facade. It's a false, and we're convinced inside that if I say my piece and if I give them the bottom line, if I put them in their place, then I'm doing the right thing. No, you're losing more than you're gaining. Nothing good comes from fighting. Rabbi Nachman says, when you're there, when you have this person, and even if it's not in the heat of the moment, even if you haven't spoken to them in 20 years, you say in your head, you think positively about them. He teaches, Nekuda Tova is that when you think positively, if I think positively right now about my child, let's say, I'm, as a mother, you're very keenly aware of all your children's defects, okay, because they're an extension of you. So just like you're keenly aware of your defects, you end up being keenly aware of the things that are an extension of you, like your children. You're very keenly aware of their bad midos, their good midos. You see it very, very clearly. Very easy to fall into a place of wanting to correct them and fix them and make them into better people. And being focused on other things that they're not good at, or that they're not doing well, or the personality, the issues in their personality, or whatever it is, they're not able to have friends, or whatever the situation is. Okay? And I can sit here and think about them, about all the things that they're not good at. And oh my God, if he would just stop doing that in public, like, if he would just stop saying that to friends, then maybe he would have some more friends. Or if he would, right, I could think about all their issues 24/7. Rabbi Nachman teaches, if you want to see a change in the other person, think only about the good things in them. You actually elevate their soul. When you think bad about the person in front of you, when you say, oh yeah, they are cheap, oh yeah, they do, and you only see what's bad about them, because no one is all bad. But you choose to pinpoint the bad things, and that is why you want distance from this person. And that's why you say this person is toxic. All of a sudden, everybody's toxic. You notice, by the way? Everyone's toxic for me. Everyone's toxic. Maybe you're taking the wrong approach. Maybe you're seeing things in a different way, in a way that's too sensitive towards yourself, but too aggressive towards the other person. Maybe you're not taking the other person into account at all in any form, like really to understand where they're coming from and what they're trying to say. Maybe you're only seeing the bad in the other person and not seeing any of the good that they've ever done for you because of the things that they've done lately. Who says this person is toxic? Maybe you have to work on your anava, on your midos. That's what he's telling us here. He says at first, stop, be quiet. But then the second time, if it continuously persists in your life and you have people jabbing you and people are unhappy with you and people closing doors in your faces and people fighting with you, if you have that coming back into your life over and over again, girlfriend, you have to know one thing only. There's an internal battle going on inside of you. And that is why you're manifesting. That's why all this stuff is going on outside of you. If you are at peace with yourself, you are at peace with people. Stop fighting with the world around you. We have to stop fighting with people. We have to stop jumping into arguments every single time someone says something or looks in the wrong direction. I'm in her face and... All right, girlfriend, just chill down. Relax. Come. Relax. Okay? We say it every day in Shemona Esrei. Nafshi ka'afar l'chol tiyeh. I want my nefesh to be like afar, like earth. L'chol tiyeh, for everyone in my life. What does that mean? For everyone to step on me? You know what earth is? You step on earth, you walk on earth, you spit on earth. And what does earth give you? Fruits, vegetables, gold, fancy rocks, diamonds, water, gasoline. Earth just gives good. earth reacts with good. You step on it and it gives you good. And we say this in Shemona Esrei 3 times a day. I want my nefesh to be in a place, and this is a high level. You have to know this, but this is where we're going as the Jewish people. Remember, we have a different formula. We are ki ish echad belev echad. Our achdus is everything. Will bring about all of the fixing in the world, the tikkun olam, everything. All the people that are suffering and dying will be healed and brought back to life. All the good things, all the kids that are off the derech and on drugs and overdosing in apartments every other day, and everything will be arrayed, everything will be God, everything will be good. How does that happen? When we create the energy of achdut. Because once what comes out of achdut is life, is blessing, is unity, is happiness, is love. All the good things come out of achdut. All the bad things, death and misery and isolation and overdosing and off derech and cutting and all that stuff comes from the machloket, the fire, the dark side. So in the moment it feels like I'm taking revenge. Oh, but you know what you're doing? You're sinking the boat. So, Rabbi Nachman teaches, next time you're in a machloket, shh. And not just shh. Because of the person. Put the person on mute for a second. Can you put the person on mute for a second in front of you? They're like... Okay, that's the person in front of you. Put them on mute. Hashem li be'ozrai v'ani be'sonai. That is, God sent you this image in front of you and says, look. You see? Do you recognize yourself in her? Do you remember the last time you freaked out like this and went crazy on her or on anyone? Do you see her? Do you see yourself in her? Can you see yourself in her? Yeah, I've been there. I looked like that. I said those things. My face looked like distorted like that when I was screaming and yelling. Yeah? Good. In that moment, all you have to do, and then this whole reality will go away, and she will find comfort and peace, and you will reunite. But in that moment, what's happening to you is that we're being tested, and all we have to do in that moment is see the person that's in front of us, see the person that we're fighting with, recognize where it is inside of me that I have the same qualities, the same tchunos, the same reactions, the same words, the same curses, the same stuff, and say, Hashem, please forgive me for all those times that I looked like that I spoke like that I acted that way. Please forgive me. I manifested this. Please forgive me. It's not about the who took out the garbage and who woke up who. That's not what's going on. It's much deeper than that. So on this day of remembrance, let's remember that what will really, really, really unite us is peace. Peace as a higher goal. Peace as an ultimate goal. Peace to the point of, step on me. I'll still give you good things. I'll still be kind. Step on me, not like, you're going to step on me? If a person doesn't feel good enough about themselves and therefore needs to step on other people, I don't have to drop down to that level. I'm still going to remain a giver. I'm still going to remain a lover. I'm still going to remain good. I'm going to be like the earth. You spit on me, you walk on me, I'll give you gold. I'll give you fruits and vegetables. I know it doesn't sound like the modern day age American, script, but it's emes, and it's the truth. Because just because they're on that level where they have to fight the whole world and they have to put people down and they feel like everyone, they deserve everything, and just because they're there doesn't mean I have to react like them and talk like them and be like them. No, I'm going to take the higher road. I'm going to be a lover and giver, and that's the emes. So. Peace, girls. Peace.
Thank you so much.
Sure. Hi, friends. Everyone. Peace in the Middle East.